I just had a little bit round the bottom and then so we did the right thing. I did say, stay with us, Mike, but no, I'm going to get out.
Okay, folks, I think we'll make a start. Welcome. Hello, my name is Julian, Chief Exec. I'm here to welcome you all to the Friday Report Out. First thing we want to do is congratulate our Lean for Leaders. Now, I can't see Lorna. Is she on her way, Jimmy? Do you know?
I don't know,
no,
sorry.
Okay.
Jill's here.
But Jill is here. So, Jill, many congratulations. You have completed the Lean for Leaders, and we all know how big a challenge that is. So we've got a nice certificate for you in recognition of your successful completion of the Leeds Improvement Method Lean for Leaders certification. So if you want to come and collect that, and I think a small round of applause would be appropriate. So
Thank you.
and terrific all the great work you're doing up at Chapel Allerton, and you were among the first to do that, so well done.
And it's still all ongoing.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move now into having some feedback from the great team that work as part of the ophthalmology patient check-in. That's the RPIW 2 of value stream 4. So I know you're all here at the front. So it's your opportunity now. If you want to give me a nod, I'll move your slides on.
It's okay, we'll do that.
Will you?
Thank you.
Fine,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Well, that's great because I can sit and watch.
Yeah,
That's
good.
good.
Thank you.
And do you want to introduce yourselves as you go along,
Yeah,
Kirsty?
absolutely. So hello, my name is Kirsty Heslop. I'm the outpatient site manager for St James's Hospital. I'm one of the process owners for this piece of work. So we have been looking at the ophthalmology patient check-in process, and this is our 60-day report out. So I'll just start by giving you an overview of our project form theme. So at the start of this work, we recognised we had a significant volume of patients waiting to check in for their appointment. We had 2 different check-in options available, the self-check-in via the kiosk and main reception. We were batching patients into separate queues, those patients for main reception and eye casualty. We recognised that we had poor signage and the self-check-in kiosk wasn't always allowing patients to check in successfully. So our 60-day remeasures. So for the main reception, the baseline was 136 seconds, our 30-day remeasure 123 seconds, and our 60-day remeasure is now 87 seconds, which is an impressive 36.1% improvement. Some of that is partly because the self-check-in kiosk is now working more successfully. So patients are using the self-check-in kiosk, bypassing the main reception and then going and sitting in the waiting area. The baseline for the eye casualty reception was 253 seconds, 30-day remeasure 165, and our 60-day remeasure is 200 seconds. So we have dipped slightly since our last remeasure, but we are still 53 seconds quicker than what we were at the original baseline. What me and Trudy recognised when we went down to clinic was our receptionists are getting distracted frequently, and we do feel that some of those distractions are unnecessary. So we want to work with the wider team so that we can try and show our receptionists to focus in entirely on the work that they need to be doing and dealing with the patients that are in front of them. So for the quality defects, the number of times a patient was redirected from the main clinic reception to eye casualty, the baseline was 9.4%, our 30-day remeasure was 0, it was 100% improvement, and that was because we trialled a new way of working where we stopped patients being batched into queues and our receptionists were dealing with every kind of patient that arrived. You can see that our 60-day remeasure has gone back up to 9.1%. That's because our staff have reverted back to the old way of working. We've not embedded the new process yet. We recognise that it is challenging, it will take some time to do. Our next steps now is to meet with the team, agree what that new process needs to look like, and then get something documented so that they can see what their responsibilities are going forward. The lead time for the self-check-in, baseline 380 seconds, 30-day remeasure 75, and our 60-day remeasure is 56 seconds. So again, an improvement that we're really pleased with, 85.3%. So what have we done to improve the self-check-in process? We'd already extended the time parameters to allow patients to check in when they arrived, but we did still notice a very small handful of patients that were trying to check in exceptionally early, so we have extended that even further. We've very recently removed the barrier which was preventing patients with multiple appointments from using the self-check-in. That only happened last week, so we're still going through some teething problems with that at the moment. It's not yet reflected in our figures. What we don't want to do is fix a problem and then create a problem, so we're very much still dealing with that at the moment. Hopefully a better update at 90-day report out. We've improved the signage to direct the patients to the self-check-in kiosk, which means that we've now seen a queue for self-check-in, and we see that as a really positive thing. Patients feel a bit more confident using it, it is working right, and it is still the fastest route for patients to use. And finally, we have completed our interviews for our volunteers. So we've got a volunteer starting very, very soon who will help in clinic and obviously help to direct patients through that journey. So I'll now hand over to Trudy who will talk through the 5S improvements.
Okay, well recently we've done a red tag sale, and basically what that is putting post-it notes on items in the reception that are basically being dumped there or left there by people, we don't know who. So we've sent an email to the nursing team and the admin team just telling them that basically we're going back in a week, we're going to remove it if it hasn't been removed. So we went back and they were all there and we removed it and took responsibility, and we found some new ones. So I think we'll be constantly red tagging, but that's fine, just to make the area look more appealing for patients and for the staff to work in. And we also created a sweep document. Now there's a huddle every morning in ophthalmology that Christine Jones holds, and basically it's so that staff can voice any concerns, any issues. So now it's a sweep document as well, so it's a ticky list of things that need to be down there, like stationery, anything that's going wrong with the machine, so they can tell Chris straight away on the morning before them doors open and the coach arrives, and she can go away and action that for the day. So that's proving popular already with the team, hopefully. And finally, for this, new printers arrived. We've been waiting for such a long time, and Andrea and Auto Digitals sorted it out, so this week it's arrived, and it's not broken yet, has it?
No.
Great. The other one broke every other day, so this is a brand spanking new machine, so hopefully nothing will go wrong. I'm now going to hand you over to Simon, who's going to talk about the patient flow chart.
Yes, thanks. So I'm Simon Dewsbury, ophthalmology consultant. One of the areas we wanted to focus on was patient flow boards. We'd noticed these in other departments, A&E, on the breast unit. We thought they would give patients a sense of movement through a department that they might be spending a bit of time waiting in. We could also use it as an opportunity to give patients information. So our first RPIW week, we have a very crude version up, and then we've since produced a more of a long-term version and at a larger scale. We've got quite good feedback from this from the patients which have observed it. There is a bit of an issue with patients not noticing it, and some of the reproduction of the lettering against backgrounds wasn't particularly clear at the size it was. One thing you note of the patient flow boards which are in operation is they're really, really big, and they're very much a sort of centrepiece of whatever wall they're on. And you kind of lose a lot of the function unless you make that full-footed jump into the sort of full-size version. So although we've got some good feedback, the next stage, and we hope to get them up next week, will be a full-size version on each of the walls that we intend. And then hopefully everyone will definitely see it and get something from it.
Great.
I'm going to hand you over to Tim, who's going to discuss the signage.
Very brief discussion. My name is Tim Hunter, I'm Head of Optometry Services. For those who don't know, the signage into ophthalmology, which is the eye clinic, which has patients who are visually impaired, is the standard trust signage, which is white on a blue background. And unfortunately, if you go in, it just blurs and is lost to a lot of patients. So we put up a lot of temporary signs which match the sort of RNAB, partially sighted requirements of black on a yellow background, which is a much easier thing to see with an eye image. And we went a little bit over the top. If anyone's been in Chancellor Wing, you'll see there's lots of signs for the eye clinic all over the place. But we have had lots of positive feedback about that. Patients have actually said it's much easier to find the department. So we are at the moment looking at replacing the blue signs with a yellow sign with an eye image on it. We're just waiting for some feedback from the States on that.
Great. Okay, and back to our newspaper. This is our remaining work we have to do. We need to create a standard process description for reception, and it's basically, we recognise that the new process has been challenging for all the team, and we need to meet them and discuss it in more detail, so going forward we can decide together how's best to work it. And also we need a team agreement of how we want our reception area to look, like a shared vision if you like, so we all can agree on how we want it to be down there for the patients and for the team. And our barriers and key learning finally. The new process was trialled successfully, but there was an impact on staff that needs further discussion. Continual improvement is an absolute roller coaster, we found that. And ophthalmology reception is so busy and so demanding, there's a lot of pressure on our team. And we've found, I'm sure, that it's very challenging to manage this sort of work while you're doing your normal job and your day-to-day commitments. It's been a bit of a strain, but you get it done and you keep moving. Any questions?
Excellent. Well, thanks very much. That's terrific. So, thank you for presented really well, really clear, and some good work in there since you last reported out. So, any questions for the team from what you've heard? Anything that strikes you? I had a question actually about, I thought it was really interesting about the signage too.
Yeah.
So it's very good that the feedback's been almost kind of instant, has it, in terms of people seeing the...
We've had a range of
Yeah.
had a range of feedback, which has been predominantly positive.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a little bit of comment about how there was sort of a paucity and then an excess, as you want to Chancellor.
Yeah.
So there is still an issue with if you come in from the multi-storey car park near the Bexley wing, because there's no signage at all when you come into that corridor to what the eye clinic, and obviously that's where a lot of people come in. So we do need to address that. But visually impaired patients have actually said, you know, I can see that sign. And the eye sign has actually proved quite useful as well. Interestingly, there's a Boots pharmacy one, and it's got a little Boots logo, and it's the same kind of idea as that. But I suppose the interesting thing for us is that it's lovely having that sort of NHS kind of standardised logo thing, but it actually has a bit of a problem for visually impaired people, not just for eyes, but in any department that they go to, in that they will lose the information in that sort of common system background.
Well, it's an interesting point about standard work maybe across the trust. I was down in our paediatric emergency department this morning at the LGI, and they've changed the way that the flow works, but they do have signs up which are black with yellow against that, and that is the recommended colour contrast, is it, for partially sighted patients?
I think that there is no absolute recommendation. But I think what people have said is that a yellow background with black lettering
yellow background with
a
black
lettering on. Is
the RNIB have said that, haven't they? It's other trusts. They obviously you can't, if you have a list of departments in some signage, they can't all stand out. That just doesn't work. So I think generally speaking, the preference is given to try and help visually impaired people.
Yes.
And in other trusts, they have used that yellow background and black writing. And I think they do it at Hull. Got these yellow background in black eyes just all up around, which helps people. So
interesting.
I think, sorry, because I'm Dawn and I'm the Deputy Chief Nurse. I've not heard your last one, I've literally just got in the room now, but I think the thing I would say to you, knowing that department really well, is you're constrained by what you've got because of the environment in that, and to do the work that you're doing really has to be commended in that kind of environment, because it's so difficult what you're working with that space. So any improvement, I mean, I remember the day when the patients all used to queue down that corridor, and literally, and clearly that's not there anymore. So just keep going, because you know it really, really is important associated with that. But you are constrained in that environment, and you know it's important that we all recognise that's just what you've got.
It's been difficult for the team as well when we've been doing these changes, especially the first week. Just literally landing down there on reception and doing these fast changes. Obviously it's quite upsetting for staff as well, but we just have to work with them and see what we can do going forward. Really.
But the positive is what you get from patients, isn't it?
That's it,
Absolutely. Liz?
That was my question. Hi, I'm Liz from pharmacy, and I've been involved in a week as well, so I know how you're feeling. Have you reflected on any positives that your staff could see at the moment? Because sometimes you hear a little positive alongside the difficulty.
I think we have, and we've got some of our team here. I mean, maybe they want to comment. Helen,
having a volunteer that works tremendously well. Can't thank the volunteers that come in enough, because it does take pressure off us at reception, because we do get interrupted a lot. Asked a host of different things from nursing staff and sometimes from the consultants. So having the volunteer works really well. And yes, we're trialling the casualty, you know, so we're all incorporated in, you know, assisting, adding patients to get them through and relieve that queue. It is extremely, it is extremely hard work, but yeah, we all work hard together.
Trying the best of the volume that's coming through. They really are.
Good. Any other questions? I was just going to say, from the point of view of when you were talking, Kirsty, about the I think was it 36% improvement in the check-in, you know, and you're still making those improvements despite some of those challenges. And I think it's just, as you've heard from us, and I think Dawn's message is crucial about just keep at it. This stuff works, but it does require a team effort, and you will have downs as well as ups. We all know this process takes people through a bit of a journey along the way, and you have to go through the pain barrier sometimes to get out the other side and see the benefits of it. But there's no doubt, in one of the busiest and most pressurised areas in the trust, you're doing a great job thinking about how you can further improve it. So I know in the scheme of things, you're still relatively early in your improvement journey. Obviously you'll come back with another report out, but I'd encourage you strongly to keep at it. If there's anything more we can do at a sort of from an exec team or corporate services or from the KPO team that you need to help and support you, just say so, and I know that your exec sponsor will make sure that that those things are taken care of. But just, well, you know, to say well done, and I think another round of applause. Right. Okay, thanks very much. So it's a fairly small but perfectly formed report out this week with the team here, and congratulations again to Jill for Lean for Leaders. That's it for today. We will be reporting out again, Jimmy, next week.
Yeah, LGI next week.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Back in the old medical school pathology lecture theatre for a little bit of ambiance, if anyone wants to join.
Really? Oh, all right. Is that the one in pathology?
It is the
one that's really
one,
steep.
yeah.
Okay, well that'll be interesting there, won't it? Yeah, good. So thank you very much for sparing the time, and well done, and keep at it. Leeds Improvement Method really is working for us, and it's great to hear some practical examples from you today in terms of the work you've done up to this point as far as the 60-day report out's concerned. So thanks very much. See you next time.